"This is impossible," the Zephyrian chief engineer announced to the bridge crew, his crystalline voice crackling with frustration. "Our quantum drive core has failed in a way our computers cannot comprehend." Captain Veltar sighed with 4 arms. "Get me the human." 20 minutes later, Jake Morrison shuffled onto the bridge wearing grease-stained coveralls and carrying a battered metal toolbox. At 52, Jake had spent more years under the hood of race cars than most species had existed in space. "So," Jake said, setting down his toolbox with a metallic clank, "what seems to be the trouble?" Chief Engineer Zixtal's multiple eyes focused on the human with barely concealed disdain. "Human Morrison, our quantum drive core operates on principles your species discovered only decades ago. 3 of our most advanced engineering teams have failed to—" "Yeah, okay," Jake interrupted, adjusting his worn baseball cap. "But what's it doing exactly? Is it making noise?" Zixtal paused, struggling with the primitive question. "There are acoustic anomalies emanating from the drive chamber." Jake nodded and hefted his toolbox. "Well then, let's go have a listen." The quantum drive chamber was a cathedral of alien technology. Massive crystalline structures hummed with energy, and in the center, a sphere of pure energy pulsed erratically, flickering between colors like a dying star. Jake stood at the entrance, just listening. The sound was barely audible, but it was there. A subtle knock, irregular and faint. "There," he said, pointing toward the energy sphere. "You hear that knocking?" "Our instruments detect harmonic irregularities, but—" "Nah," Jake said, walking into the chamber despite warning symbols lighting up. "That's bearing knock." The alien engineer's skin shifted to bright orange. "You cannot enter the quantum field without proper shielding." Jake was already kneeling beside a massive support pylon, his ear pressed against the crystalline surface. "Yep, bearing knock. Your quantum what's-it is trying to compensate for mechanical failure, but it's making things worse." "Impossible," Zixtal insisted. "This drive has no mechanical components." Jake pulled a wrench from his toolbox. "Everything's got moving parts, even if you can't see them." He walked around the energy sphere, listening to the subtle changes in the knocking sound. "Got it," he said suddenly, stopping near an access panel. "It's this housing here." He tapped it with his wrench. "Housing's warped. Changes the shape of your field, makes your drive work harder." "You're suggesting mechanical deformation is causing quantum field instability?" "Wouldn't be the first time," Jake said, removing the access panel. "Back home, I've seen guys spend thousands trying to fix problems that were just loose bolts." As the panel came free, the knocking sound became clearer. Jake shined a flashlight into the mechanism. "Yep, she's warped. Metal fatigue from all that field manipulation." He pulled out a rubber mallet. The assembled aliens watched in horror as he prepared to strike their most advanced technology. "Sometimes," Jake said calmly, "the solution isn't complicated." He struck the housing. Once, twice. On the 3rd strike, there was a subtle shift in the metal. The knocking sound stopped. The energy sphere stabilized, returning to its steady blue glow. Warning lights switched off throughout the chamber. The quantum drive hummed back to life. Jake packed his tools away. "There you go. She'll run smooth now. Just check your housings for stress fractures every few thousand light years." Zixtal stared at his instruments as systems returned to optimal function. "How did you know?" Jake shrugged. "Same way I know when any engine's having problems. You listen. Machines talk to you if you know how to hear them." As news spread through the ship, Jake found himself celebrated by species that had dismissed human engineering as primitive. Back in his quarters, he called his wife on Earth. "How was work today, honey?" Sarah asked. Jake smiled, glancing at the alien technology through his porthole. "Oh, you know. Fixed an engine, same as always." What he didn't tell her was that he had just solved a problem that stumped 12 advanced civilizations using a rubber mallet, and the first rule every mechanic learns. When in doubt, try percussive maintenance. Within hours, reports began flooding in from across the fleet. Human engineers were being requested specifically for impossible problems. A Valdorian cruiser's artificial gravity had been acting up for months until a human maintenance worker noticed it sounded like a washing machine with unbalanced load. A Krellian battleship's weapons array had mysterious targeting errors until a human technician realized their quantum computers were overheating and just needed better ventilation. The galaxy was slowly learning what Earth's mechanics had known for generations. Sometimes the most sophisticated problems had the simplest solutions. Sometimes, the most advanced technology in the universe just needed a good old-fashioned human touch.